Well, jeepers! You're listening to Smash or Pass with JayBee, Millie, and Smash.
And Rihanna.
Hello? Is it working? I think it's working. Hi.
So, in today's episode, we are going to be reviewing Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School. So, this is like one of the old originals from 1988. I feel like most people have seen this one. It's one that I grew up with a lot and absolutely loved. I guess if you've not seen it before, you've not seen it for a while. This is another one similar to the last one that's based with like Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy. And in this one, Shaggy is becoming the new gym teacher at a school full of different ghouls, ghosts, mummies, zombies, like all the kind of monsters that Mr. Ink would normally face are kind of aged down about 20 years and put into the school. Shaggy's their gym teacher, and ultimately they're kind of training the girls to go against the rival school, Callaway, for a volleyball competition. So that all happens, and then there's also another story arc within this story where the kind of villain is wanting to possess the students because their parents they've got like powerful parents like Count Dracula and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they think, oh look, now that the big ghosts and goblins have gone soft, it's the perfect time for me to seize control and be the biggest goblin of all. Stuff like that, like a power thing.
So that is my very bad summary of the plot, but we're going to get into that further. So, Smash, I'll start with this question for you. I'm guessing this is a movie you've seen quite a few times.
Yes, this is one of the movies I've seen probably the most times out of like any Scooby movie, except for in recent years.
See, it's one movie that I thought I'd seen quite a lot, and then I kind of got halfway through and was like, I forgot there was more to it. JayBee, is it kind of how you remembered it?
No, it is exactly how I remember it from childhood, except, and I think you even said this before recording, it's one of those ones where a lot happens, but maybe it's because I have seen this before, whereas for like the last maybe 20 or so movies, it was the first time that I was watching it, so I felt like there was a lot that I could say and react to, and I was making like page after page of notes. Whereas this, it was like there was a lot happening, but I had very little to say about it. I was just kind of reliving it. So, it's how I remembered, but I think to a fault in that I'm probably not going to have too much to say about the film overall.
And Rihanna, how about you? Is this one that you've seen a lot of times? Is it one that you've enjoyed?
It is, like, very similarly to Boo Brothers. You know, I grew up watching it. It was on so often during, like, the half term and the end of term, like, the holidays, school holidays. So I'd say I've seen it quite a lot of times, and it's one of my favorites because I feel like it's one which there isn't really a mystery, and it's, you know, similar to Boo Brothers, but unlike Boo Brothers where there's, like, unmasking, it's one that I feel like you can just live in the moment, and you can see how all of them think and react to the different ones, and it's got one of my all-time favorite characters, Matches. I love Matches. I love that little dragon. So it's very much how I remember, but I think that's because I also have seen it so many times, but also for some reason this one gives me like chills, and I somewhat feel terrified to be in the dark after I watch it. So I just love this movie overall. So yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly one of the ones before Warner Brothers had entered their rule of it can't be real ghosts, because this was packed full of real ghosts, ghouls, demons, everything. It was kind of, there's certainly a fear factor to it. So the movie starts in the middle of a storm. Shaggy is wearing that kind of red top look that we saw in the last movie, but again, as we were speaking about last time, on the cover art for the movie, he's got that classic green look. So it's really interesting some of the style choices they made in this era. But they're driving the new van. So last movie they had a car. It's kind of been upgraded closer to the Mystery Machine. I think it's like a red van similar to the one, is it in 13 Ghosts I'm thinking, JayBee?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like around that style. And the intro is a bit strange for this one. It's just they're passing a circle around to kind of show the characters. So Scooby's like, hey, it's me. Then he passes it to Shaggy, and Shaggy's like, whoa, I'm driving. And then they pass it to Scrappy. So it's definitely a different intro. And I feel like ultimately the art style and everything's aged really, really well. But there was a few minutes in this intro where I was like, it's kind of lingering there. Like, did you find what I mean?
A bit. I mean, it definitely. I think if I was around at the time, and I'm just guessing, as much as I'm like, oh, the 2002 movie was like a time capsule of its era, I feel like this is kind of the same thing for that. I think for like the animation produced around the late 80s and stuff, this is quite of its time as well. I don't know, it tonally it was a bit weird though that they were being so self-referential. Like I think Scooby was like, I don't know if I was like reading into this, but he like looks up when the Ghoul School titles was announced, and he was like, "Oh look, writing." But then I think Shaggy thought he said lightning, and then I don't know. It's like breaking the fourth wall, is that what you call it? Like the kind of, I don't know. I think it aged very well, especially that the mood and atmosphere. But tonally, I wasn't quite sure because that kind of self-reference never happens throughout the whole rest of the movie. But it was just kind of like a fun thing to happen at the start.
I think there's lots of fun things to happen at the start. So you get Scrappy hanging out of the van because they're training to help Shaggy be a gym teacher. And also, you know when Scooby climbs on top of the van and uses his tail as a windscreen
Oh, that was
wiper?
fun. I like
That's
that.
quite fun.
I love that part.
Me too. I kind of like how this era of movies isn't taking itself too seriously. They're kind of just here to have a good time.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing that I think I mentioned in the last one was that because these aren't, basically the first Scooby Doo movies as such, I feel as though what they saw is a perfect opportunity to be able to mess with different things, like find the different dynamics, see what worked, what didn't work. And I think that's why, we found Boo Brothers, there was so much in there and things that they could have cut out, but they kept it in there were like 10 different storylines going on. With this one, I feel like there's about 6 different storylines going on at once, but it all makes sense. So I think it's really them trying to find their footing with it.
Yeah, certainly a lot happening at once, as we're going to see. So Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy arrive, and they are met pretty much straight away by a little dragon called Matches, which JayBee did say was the voice of Frank Welker.
I think so, right? Unless I've got that wrong.
So yeah, that was kind of an appearance by them. Not as Fred in the movies yet at this point, though. Obviously, Fred's not made an appearance, but it's good that they still kind of were present there, which was good to see. Like Rihanna was saying, Matches is just so sweet. I feel like you want one as a pet.
I definitely.
And then,
I do. I want like a plushie of him.
Yeah.
I wrote that down as well.
no, you didn't. You were like, I want a Funko Pop
No, I wrote
of
that.
everyone.
Yeah, but well,
Okay, but
that'd be fun. That's like a set.
this movie, though, I feel like all of the characters are just so adorable, except, this movie I found from like the very beginning for some reason. Like with Boo Brothers, I liked Scrappy, but from the beginning of this one, I was like, something about him is irritating me and I don't know what it is. But like Matches is just adorable. And then, as we meet like each of them, okay, I feel like each and every one of the other characters, like they've designed them so well that they look scary, but they also are like, I want you in real life and I just want to protect you, because especially, Tanis, she's a little cinnamon roll. She needs to be protected.
Tanis is adorable, and in that scene when she's like, I just want a trophy for my mummy case, and Scrappy's like, we'll get you one. I was like, yes, you have to do it. Go get her a trophy.
Yeah.
They
Oh
are
my
so
God.
so
We
sweet.
should
And
just.
I mean, there's a lot of characters here.
see, there's a lot of really, really sweet characters, and I guess we're kind of gonna go through and meet them all, but I do agree that the characterization on all of them was amazing. They were so cute. And one thing that I do think is that, like, for me, these are some of the most memorable characters that we only see once in Scooby. Like, every movie has its own characters. Every episode has its own characters that we're only really going to see once. Whereas for me, these are the ones that kind of stuck in my mind the most.
I mean, to me, this was almost like the reverse Boo Brothers, because I think I did pass that one, I think. And a lot of it, like especially at the start, was reminding me, like, okay, so for Boo Brothers, they're introducing this weird fox, they're introducing this thing on a bike, they're introducing these three ghosts or whatever, and of course the ghosts play a part in it, but everything just seemed like decoration to a Scooby story. Whereas this, it doesn't really waste too much time. It introduces matches, Miss Grimwood, it introduces the students that we all follow throughout, and even they do quite a good job in going to that kind of, like, it was like a misdirect. They think that they're arriving at the normal school and it's Calloway's, and then it's like, no, this is the place where we are. But of course, even Calloway's is something that's going to play a part into the whole movie. So I think everything that they're introducing us to at the start, whilst it is a lot, it all serves this kind of nice self-contained story. Well, I'd probably argue that there's probably two stories going on here. But that's why, for me, this was a lot better than Boo Brothers instantly.
I mean, I think Boo Brothers, the characters, for all there were three ghosts and they did have unique personalities, there was still some overlap, whereas with this we have very defined characters. So we've talked about meeting matches. We then meet Miss Grimwood, who's very much their own defined character. We have the Hand, Sid Bella, which, you know, again, each one gets their own time frame to kind of introduce themselves and their plot. So they're the daughter of Dracula. There's Winnie the Werewolf. Again, the alliteration instantly kind of makes characters more memorable, I want to say. Phantasma, Elsa, Frankenstein, Tanis, which was the really cute one. So yeah, I feel like they build each of these characters up quickly but well. Like, you're not going to forget them, really.
I found something out about the characters because I can't remember how I came across this, but it was like a memory and then I searched for it. In OKKO Let's Be Heroes, the Halloween special, like, monster party that was on Cartoon Network, Enid's old friends are Winnie, Tanis, Elsa, Sibella, and Phantasma, and the actresses who played them in that reprised their roles in this. So they were already, like, kind of established. So I think that's kind of a cool link, and I now want to go back and find that episode just to watch it. But, like, as you were saying, they're so defined as individual characters, and, like, I feel like Phantasma, she was so everywhere, but so much like how a ghoul would be, like a spirit would be, because, you know, they're made mainly of gas and air, so they'd be all airy-fairy everywhere, and that's how she acts. She's just, like, laughing, having fun. So I feel like they got the character spot on with, like, how they acted, to their personality, just everything.
Yeah, they did line that up really well. And then, but they don't linger on introducing these characters too much either. They kind of like, okay, do you know what, that's it, there's the characters, you've met them. Then they move on to another really fun scene, which is the pet piranha where it bites Scooby's tail. And that's the ballerine lesson, ballet lesson is Scooby jumping.
I'm just
because they've been bit, and I like that.
Because, like Rihanna was saying, there's so many, like, shrieking kind of, like, all over the place ghosts.
Yeah.
But yet, at no point, really, am I finding any of them annoying. Whereas, I think that it would be very easy to be annoyed by them. And in contrast, just, like, modern-day Velma talking annoys me. So, I'm happy with these characters. Oh, but here's some kind of sad... Oh, I don't want to bring it down, but here's some kind of sad updates. I did reach out to the person that played Miss Grimwood, or at least their kind of people, and apparently they're too old and frail to be interviewed, which is really sad, but obviously I wish them well and everything. But it's like, I guess it shows how old the movie is, really, because thinking about this predates at least, I think, both Millie and I by about 10 years. And yet, just listening to the kind of sound quality of the characters and looking at the animation, I do think that this has held up quite well.
Oh, certainly. This movie's aged really, really well, I think, in terms of artwork, voice acting, audio, everything is still really good. So like we say, we were on the ballet scene where Scooby was jumping because they'd been bitten, and I just found that really fun. Then we cut to the spying school, which is Calloway, which is like the rival of the school where Shaggy and Scooby are. So I guess it was fun to kind of add that dynamic. It kind of showed the school to be different because, you know, they were full of ghouls and stuff, but it also showed the contrast of there being like a regular school.
Yeah, it almost played a lot like kind of classic, well, not classic, it's kind of typical movie where it's kind of these new people lead a ragtag team of underdogs to succeed against the more, I guess, elite looking group, you know, like Daddy Day Camp or Monsters University, the internship, you know what I mean? Like underdog versus kind of main person.
It was also fun seeing that, like, it was a girls' school against a guys' school and the girls triumphed. I like that too.
Nice. It just surprises me though, because one thing I don't like is that it's such a kind of cool, interesting concept, and they almost fit two movies into one, almost like if it was a modern day movie, the Callaways versus the Grimwoods would be movie one, and then the sequel would come out like Revolta's Revenge or something. But like really, not like they both serve each other nicely in the end. But I feel like the second story with Revolta isn't really set up at all in the first half, which, I don't know, it was a bit weird.
Yeah, see, it's about this stage that Revolta's just randomly dropped, like we just get a cutscene. What was your initial impression of Revolta, Rihanna?
Scared. Ooh, I'm scared of her. She scares me. I don't know what it is. She, like, I did a pretty decent impression of her when I was rewatching this, and I feel like if I tried doing it now, I couldn't do it. But she just scares me. And I think this is something that I did like about this movie, is that, you know, we kind of saw her as this lurking character. And, you know, she has spider bats, which I created a little song, you know, like based on the Spider-Man theme, which I'm really proud of. But I think because, you know, she's kind of like a human spider hybrid mutant, like it makes sense that she's lurking because spiders hide. They hide until it's their primal opportunity to strike. And that kind of freaks me out a little bit more because I also recently just watched Little Shop of Horrors. So with the whole, you know, I can't remember the name of the plant.
Audrey too.
That's like Audrey too. Thank you. That's like eating people. I just got that vibe with like the eyes and watching, especially like with how Little Shop of Horrors ended. But I think it kind of made sense that she was lurking and didn't really make an appearance until, you know, she had them out in the swamp where it's dark and it's, you know, a place which she could easily strike without being killed, you know, like squished by a human, because that's what spiders are scared of. But she is scary. And yeah, there's my long explanation to just say she scares me so much.
And what's her like minion called, the green thing?
Isn't like the creeper thingy, there's something creeper, right?
The Creeper Reaper.
Creeper
I feel like it's the Creeper Reaper.
The Creeper thingy.
It's like a potato.
Creeper Reaper?
It's like
Oh
those
yeah, the
little
eggplant
things
thing.
from Spirited Away that go oi, 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 oi.
Did they live up to their
Yes.
name? Did you find them creepy, JayBee?
Oh, they made my skin crawl. It's just like a weird little green pumpkin thing that slithers around being weird. Not unlike
Revolt.
myself.
Wasn't it called like the Reaper or something?
I think it's like the Creeper Reaper or the Reaper Creeper. It's like those two words together. I know that was mentioned by Winnie
Yeah.
later on. Which also, quick note about Winnie. Did you notice 1 second Winnie had long sleeves, next minute Winnie had no sleeves?
Ooh. I didn't
Gotta
know.
love animation errors.
I noticed one, and I've forgotten it now. Well, obviously, like there was like little things where Scrappy's nose just turned completely brown instead of black. There was a kind of thing later on where someone's talking but their mouth is like completely closed. But I didn't notice the sleeve. I'm surprised Millie didn't. Maybe Millie was tired.
Yeah, Millie got tired today.
Millie's been through a lot recently.
Mainly just living with JayBee.
Not JB.
You're doing great, Mel.
Thank
Really?
you. I tell myself that every day. Okay, so
Good. As you should.
the head teacher of Callaway goes around to see Miss Grimwood to arrange a kind of volleyball match. And that's when we see that trap chair. And for some reason, it was reminding me of Courage, you know, because we watched that recently. And the chairs kind of come to life in that as
Was
well.
it a trap chair?
It kind of like pins them down and stuff.
Oh, yes. I was
Yeah,
thinking about when
yeah.
matches like lights up the chair, but yeah, you're right. Oh, I want one of those trap chairs.
And they get like treated to fungus fudge and toadstool tea. Like the
How would you make that? Is that possible to make it?
I presume so.
You can tea and coffee that's made purely from mushrooms and like fungus fudge. I'm pretty sure you can like. Oh, that would be disgusting. Like moldy chocolate. Use that to make
Oh,
the
oh,
fudge.
no, no, I can't do that.
I have a random. Okay, so I had a random theory. Because you know, Miss Grimwood is she lives like a monster. She lives with monsters. She thinks it's all normal and stuff. So my theory is she is the grandma of either the Addams family or the Munsters.
Ooh, that's an interesting theory because as well, they have the hand thing from the Addams family too, right?
Yeah.
Sure, I'm not familiar
And
with them.
and if you add on top of that, Scooby Doo has a crossover episode with the Addams family.
Yes, that would make sense.
That's a very good theory. I like that.
There's my random theory.
See that? You'd imagine that the Ghoul School, in and of itself, like we see at the end of the movie, will have seen kind of like almost a revolving door of various monsters, all kind of from notoriety. I mean, I didn't notice any of them at the end except for maybe like is it like the thing from the lake or whatever, like the swamp thing. But I like that because obviously Miss Grimwood themselves, they don't really hold any monster-like qualities, do they? Unless they're like a relative of Charles Xavier. What do you think, Miller?
I think they're a good character. I like them. My question for everyone was what they thought to the random octopus serving tea.
I want one. I really do. Because you think an
What are you gonna
octopus
do
is
with
just so helpful. Like, you could do loads of things at the same time. But also, I think they're meant
Until
to
they
be
eat you.
quite cute, aren't they? Octopi?
Octopi are evil.
Yeah. I was gonna
Like,
say until they eat you.
Can
yeah,
they eat
like
you?
octopus and not shrimp, squid
Sure, they
freak
could
me out.
poison
Like
you.
kraken.
Oh,
There's actually an octopus in the ocean. It's really big. I watched a documentary, little side note, and the octopus actually went up and took people, drowned them, and then ate them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
why would it do that?
Okay. Fun little fact about octopuses. Also, octopuses. That doesn't sound right. Octopi. Fun little fact I learned about the octopods. So most octopus have really short lifespans, like was it 8 years or something that they can only live? I'm trying to remember. Anyway, they have really short lifespans, but the thing is, they're one of the most intelligent creatures on the planet. But since they don't live long enough, they don't like their brains don't have long enough to really become that full potential intelligence. And so, if octopus could evolve and figure out how to live longer than just like the short amount of years that they do, it's believed that they could figure out how to come out of the water and onto land and basically take over the human race. Like, octopus are evil.
Jeez. Like Rise of the Planet of the Octopi. Oh,
Yeah, they should make a movie.
They should make a movie of that.
Yeah.
you could deck
I
them
love
though,
Rise of the
surely,
Planet of the Apes.
right? Like, kicking footballs at them alone would kind of do them in, I think. Or just chucking bricks at
Next
Well,
them.
level
unless it's
squishy.
huge. Yeah, true. They're very squishy. They probably just jello.
Because it's kind of like with, I think they're basically just cartilage, no actual bones, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's right.
So you can't really. I mean, electrocuting, water and electricity never go well.
It's super
Like,
effective.
wow.
I reckon I could beat up an octopus.
I want to watch you. No, I don't want to watch you try. No one should be harming octopi. Please don't do this at home, kids.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
don't hurt
Like-
animals, because animals they make the world go round. Except for wasps.
I thought
Murder
I mean,
wasps.
wasps
Wasps?
memorize people's face. Like they know
Listen.
people's faces.
Wasps deserve to die because bees
Yeah.
will make honey and pollen and stuff, but like if they sting you, then they die. But wasps just get to sting and sting and sting and live on happily ever after. I have been stung by too many wasps. I want them all dead. I want a massacre of wasps.
That's
It's not
just
that bad as long as you don't attack them first, because wasps memorize your face. So never attack a wasp.
I didn't attack them. I was just purely stepping on a stool and they decided murder his foot.
let's just get rid of the wasps, or we banish them somewhere. Like, we don't need to kill them. We can just like let's just send them to Kate McCoochie's house or something, like where they can live
Okay,
peacefully.
that's a bit harsh.
No, she can look
That's
after them.
harsh.
She can look after
Let's
them.
send them to that yellow zone. Let's send them there.
Send them to the Bermuda
Let's
Triangle.
go back onto the movie.
That's a very good idea. So the stairs turn into a ramp. Shaggy gets taken to the bottom where they meet the kind of head teacher from Callaway. We said about the octopus, and that led to this little side note. And then we get a bit of like a workout montage.
Oh yeah.
Who had the best workout of them all? I think it's Matches, bouncing on his little tail. He nailed it.
A+. I also think, I can't remember her name right now. I know y'all probably just said it, but the little mummy girl, like
Tennis.
jump rope. Yeah, jump roping with her raps. Come on.
Yes.
That's
Like,
like come on.
and then Phantasma going through the wall and making Scrappy slap himself in the face.
A+.
See, I think anything that Tannis does is just cute.
They're adorable.
She's
Tannis, that's her name.
Baby.
I want to have
like-
one.
I want a
The thing
Funko of her.
is,
Me too.
what makes me question, would Tannis stay an extra year? Because Miss Grimwood, it was Grimwood, right? Like, she said that Tannis is their youngest and newest student. Like, and I think it was
True.
newest as well. But like, so she would have to stay longer than the others. So I wouldn't be able to leave her there with all the new monsters because she would be so shy. She's a little baby. She needs to be protected. And you know, oh, she's so sweet.
I
She reminds me of
volunteer
little
as tribute. I will stay.
Scrappy.
Stay and look after Tannis, JayBee.
I'd do that. But it's just sad though, because I just feel like these kind of ghosts, these little ghouls, have their own like goals in this movie. That they've got likes, wants, and needs, and then they're just kind of introduced in a movie that was released way before we were even born, and then now sat here to this day, even though they've had like sequels about various other things, and obviously with the way Warner Brothers is so like anti-real ghosts now, we're probably never gonna see them again. And I'm like, come on, like, can we bring
We
them
can
A
back?
random
petition.
thought.
But like,
I had a random thought that has nothing to do with anything.
Let's do it.
but Tannis's voice kind of sounds like Rihanna's voice. Rihanna, you kind of sound like Tannis.
I did an impression of her as well. I can't remember what she said. And my brother was like, "Oh, Rihanna, that's so similar." And I was like, "Yeah, no. That's
Oh,
Let's see her.
Aw.
Ooh, maybe we could all be Grimwood ghosts in another life. I think I'd probably be the werewolf.
it's such a fun Halloween group costume, like the
Yeah.
Grimwood ghouls.
Yes. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh,
That'd
that
be
would.
so fun.
Oh my gosh, who would? No, I want to be. Oh, what's her face? That sounds like she works in a sex line. What's her face? I want
Isabella?
to be. Yeah. Daddy
The
Dracula.
vampire.
That's who I want to
Yeah.
be. Or I want to be the one that goes. Oh, the sky's the limit. The sky's the
Phantasma.
limit. I want to be all of
Phantasma.
them, actually. I'm
Who
going to
the
be
heck
like
is
Kevin
Phantasma?
11. Millie, you can be the werewolf.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we need to
I
do
think
that.
Tatty wants to say some things.
Wait,
Hi,
can Tatty
Tatty.
dress as matches?
Dang it,
Oh,
I got in the wrong lane.
Oh.
Sorry, talking about my road life.
So, I
What do you say,
guess
Tatty?
at this point
The
we're at
volleyball.
the Callaway and Grimwood volleyball game. Now, is there a difference between volleyball and volleyball, or am I just saying one of them completely wrong?
I think you're saying one of them very badly.
So is volleyball and volleyball not a different sport?
What's volleyball?
I've heard volleyball.
I've never
Yeah.
heard that.
Has no one heard volleyball?
Never heard of volleyball. No.
Maybe it's like Bollywood volleyball.
Please
No.
explain, JayBee. How do we play volleyball?
I'm gonna Google volleyball.
So this might be a controversial opinion because I know not many people like spiders, but I think legs is so cute the way they make that
No,
net.
kill it.
Yes. Legs is like the only spider that I'm not scared of. And Tatty agrees with me, apparently. Do you like legs?
Legs is the one that makes the net, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been trying to
okay.
help JB get over his spider phobia. We've recently been to 2 zoos and one of them had like this huge tarantula and we decided to stand and look at it together to try and conquer his fear.
JayBee, you and I need to do that together. I have phobias of spiders too. I wouldn't say it's a phobia, but I'm scared of spiders too. And I'm so mean to spiders. I don't just like if a spider's in my house, I won't just like squish it. Instead, I'll put a freaking cup over it and let it suffocate.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be too scared it got
I'm
out.
so mean to spiders.
I'll set it on fire.
I just don't. I get too scared to smash it, and then all of a sudden, there's gonna be a bunch of babies flying around.
But how is Smash
It's
scared
why
to
you take
smash?
it
It's like a
outside and throw it-
superpower.
It's why you take the spiders outside and you throw it over your next door neighbor's fence.
Ah,
I don't
I'm
think I
learning.
want to be next door neighbours with Rihanna anymore.
Apparently, volleyball was something to do with Diary of a Wimpy Kid. As in, nothing. Apparently, the idiot
okay.
kid thinks it's. Apparently, the idiot
To
kid
you.
in Diary of a Wimpy Kid thinks that volleyball is volleyball. So apparently, that's the kind of intelligence level that I'm working with.
You know, when I was in school and we had to play volleyball, I had this kid that would always make fun of me because I sucked at it. And they'd be like, "What are you doing? Playing pretty ball? You're just sitting there watching the ball going, ooh, pretty ball."
I hate school and PE, it was the worst.
Yeah, if I went to school in America, I can't say that on record.
No, you can't. I already know where that comment was going.
Yeah. Oh, I hate school. Let's never actually no go to school. Actually, this is themed because it's Ghoul School. Kids go to school. Adults, you don't
Stay
need
in
to. So
school,
that's good.
kids.
Yeah, stay in school. Be cool. Stay in school and don't do drugs. Don't murder.
Tell me how to
Mrs.
live
JayBee.
my life.
Yeah, unless it's wasps.
Lessons to play.
So
Let's-
Millie.
So we're on the volleyball game.
Baby.
Basically the school cheat a lot.
But so what? They've got a remote control volleyball. Yeah.
Volleyball, yeah.
But okay, here's my question then. This is actually a really fun game for what it is, right? Like it's obviously not like I'm not like on the edge of my seat, like oh my gosh, who's gonna win? What's gonna happen? But why is Scrappy allowed to be the referee? Because even though they are very fair, I would have thought that they would have chosen someone that was a bit more neutral.
They didn't really have anyone neutral though. Like, I think Scrappy was the most impartial, but at the same time, after what he said to, Tannis, he was like, "We're going to win you that trophy."
Yeah, you can't promise a cute little mummy that and then not deliver.
Corrupt officials. And you'd have thought that if it's like an annual event, there must have been someone that was doing Scrappy's job last year. Right?
You'd think so.
Probably the guy in charge of Callaway's, because he was like, "Oh well, who's going to be the official?" And I think he was expecting himself to be voted because he has been every other season. Which means he's allowed a lot of cheating, because those girls, okay, even with like the Callaways cheating and them, having strength, they crushed it. They were like, "Oh, you know what? We've got a mummy. We've got, we have Elsa who's going to just like smash the ball into you." And like, how did they not win any other time?
Yeah, but then at what point are the Callaways cheating? Or at what point is it almost leveling the playing field? Because for all purposes, the Ghoul School is like full on superpowers, right?
It's literally like your school going against like
the X-Men
Professor
or
X,
something. Yeah, like Wolverine is meant to like do like a boxing match, and I'm just here with my fat pack and my bad bat. That's not fair. It's Wolverine. Although me at 17 could have I could have just floored Wolverine.
Okay, so moving on. The Ghoul School wins the volleyball match. Then they start to prepare for like the parents' evening. They make pumpkin things and brownies, and all the ghoul parents arrive, and Scooby and Shaggy are so scared because obviously it's like Dracula, it's the mummy, there's just so much stuff. And one thing that I think is really cute is that all the ghouls had made like gifts for their parents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favourite was the juicer.
Is that it's all like that.
But I like the scene and I like the gifts. It's just I don't enjoy what the movie almost feels like it has to do to stay true to the characters. Like,
for me, this was a nice end to the movie.
But seeing Shaggy and Scooby being scared is normal, right? But it's like they've spent the whole entire movie so far with these kids that have literally identical powers or identical likeness to their parents, and now Shaggy and Scooby are scared. And I guess it's different when it's like adults versus, like babies. Like, I'd obviously be more scared of a fully grown lion versus a baby lion, but it's like I would have thought that they would be less scared at this point.
I think that's a good point. Like, they've kind of had a chance to get familiar with it. I guess it's maybe where you're looking at it in the continuity. It could be that they've like met Dracula before or something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
With Shaggy.
Shaggy.
Shaggy. Isn't that the next movie?
I honestly thought Werewolf came before Ghoul School for some reason.
Yeah, in Halloween Castle, Dracula's Castle.
I have a question for JayBee. You know, like, when the parents leave and they're like really angry, like almost like angry, like, okay, you have to like look after my daughter and stuff. Is that the kind of vibe that you get every time we leave my parents' house?
A little bit.
Yeah, I was watching it like, oh god, my mum said this to him last time we left.
Well, every time we leave, they say it. And it's like, well, look, what can I do? Every time she goes out, I say, don't get murdered. That's my ability. That's all I can do. Just don't get killed.
You know, I always tell people like that, you know, I'm close with and stuff when they leave. I'm always like, okay, bye, don't die.
See, I know a really disturbing fact that I don't know if I want to share with you because this made me really anxious.
Do it.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so potentially in your whole lifetime, just walking down the street, you on average have potentially passed up to 12 serial killers.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
And I'm now terrified to go outside. I mean, I'll go out like if I have to, but not by myself because it's like, what if I bump into a serial killer? What if I'm their next target? Like, have I already bumped into all 12? If I'm like get killed by a serial killer now, does that mean I like escaped death 11 times previously? Like, I can't be dealing with that issue.
I mean, one of Millie's ancestors has got to have come close to the Yorkshire Ripper, right? Or something. Like, oh, I can't even think. I cannot even think about that.
Let's get back onto the movie because oh gosh, no. Yeah, let's cheer ourselves up.
Yeah.
Let's talk about cute little Tannis and matches.
Tannis!
I like
Tannis and matches.
Matches and Scrappy's relationship in this movie reminds me so much of Flim Flam and Scrappy in 13 Ghosts.
See, I don't know where the Scrappy hate comes from when movies like this happen. Like, just from the very start when it was like, don't worry, we're gonna get you the trophy. It's just like, oh, Scrappy, you literally said what I was thinking.
I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, to be honest with you, I think I'm on a page where I do like Scrappy in at least these movies. I'm not really familiar with them. I haven't watched like the Scooby Doo and Scrappy show for such a long time. Maybe they're more annoying in that. But I guess from me at my base level, I'm like, okay, so Scrappy's here. That means that we don't get Fred and Daphne, which makes me really sad. But then I'm like, okay, well, Velma's not here either, so maybe I can forgive Scrappy a bit. Because if Scrappy means no Velma, I'm Team Scrappy.
So, you don't think that Velma had a right to say what's a Scrappy? It could be what's a Velma?
If it's... this sounds like I'm like full on standing. If somebody is behind Velma's voice, I don't think they should be saying anything. What? Oh my god, I can't even, because I'm hoping to speak to people one day, but just don't. I can't even. I'm recovering from the Kate McCucci era as we speak.
It's not over yet.
It is. What other movie is she gonna be apart from the new thing coming out?
Yeah, get ready.
Oh god, I can't face it. I really can't face it. Life's hard enough.
See, I have an issue with Scrappy by himself. Tatty also has an issue apparently. I'll be right back.
Oh, Tatty. Oh, Tatty's
just
so
shush. Cute. Right. What is smASH's opinion on Scrappy?
I am definitely the minority of Scrappy. I adore him. I love him. I want him to come back. I hate that he was the villain in the live action movie. Like, despise that decision, but it's fine. This is also another kind of unpopular opinion, but I like him better when he was first introduced rather than like later on in like these movies or 13 Ghosts. Because like when he was first introduced, he was introduced as like this, this cute little puppy who's trying to learn the world, and all he knows is, oh, I gotta protect my uncle, and I may be small, but I'm fierce and whatever, which I know is kind of what people find annoying. But to me, I like these types of movies and stuff, and like the 13 Ghosts series and whatever, to me make Scrappy feel older than he really is. It's like he doesn't get any bigger, and so I mean, sure, he can act more mature and whatever, but there was just like no progression. It was just like all of a sudden he's now more mature, and which I mean, I love his relationship with Flim Flam. love that. But I don't know. I've always just really, really liked his first, kind of introduction where he like just rough and tough, and then something would happen, and he'd be like, oh, "Duh, I'm only a little puppy. Like I'm trying to learn. Silly me." I don't know. I just find him really cute in the beginning.
See, in this one, I feel like he's had to take the stress of Velma, Daphne, and Fred, like the adults of the group. So it's like, let's make him the grown-up one.
Yeah,
But he's not consistent though in this, which is like the thing that annoyed me the most. In that, like I said, I didn't like how Scooby and Shaggy were afraid of the monster parents, and I like that Scrappy at that point was like, "Hey, come on! Like, if we run away now, we won't meet all the parents." And then, yet at the end, when like the new students come in, and Scooby and Shaggy are like all scared and they want to run, Scrappy's like, "Huh, Uncle Scooby's running, so I guess I'll run as well." And it's like, well, come on, like, at least keep it consistent. Like, either stay there and introduce yourself, or just run away at the start. Like, it just didn't really make sense to me. But that's the only time that Scrappy was a bit like, why are you doing that in this movie for me?
See, I have a very similar point of view. Like, I feel like Scrappy is so inconsistent, but my main issue, I feel like Scrappy is good partnered up with someone. But for some reason, when he's by him, like, right at the beginning of the movie, before he met Matches, or like any of the other monsters, or whatever you want to call them, like, I found him really annoying. And I was like, okay, I don't know what it is, but something about you is really starting to bug me. And then, you partner him up with someone like Matches, or what he says to Tannis, and I'm like, okay, no, I actually like you. And then, in the individual series, like Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, I found him really frustrating to deal with, because it's like, it's so clear that, Scooby doesn't want to do those things. He, and I know it's like to build up the story, but we've seen individually without Scrappy that they'll go off and do things. They'll go off and find the monster, whether they mean to or not. But I feel like Scrappy just puts that extra pressure and forces, and it just builds up like an inner anxiety. Because when you think about it, if we had like someone right by us who is like, you're having a complete breakdown over doing something and telling you have to go out there and you have to, do whatever's making you completely a mess, we ourselves would find that really frustrating and terrifying. And I think that's where my like inner hatred of, not really hatred, but disliking of Scrappy comes from, is because he is so pushy, and it's like, okay, tone it down. But then you pair him up with like Flim Flam. He has such a good relationship with Flim Flam in 13 Ghosts. In, Boo Brothers, I feel like he wasn't that annoying, but he had a main goal that wasn't just, okay, Scooby, you have to go do what you don't want to do. And then in this, he has Matches, he has Tannis, and, he's very much, okay, you know what? I'm going to stay with you. We're going to work together, and it's going to be good, because they have similar, like, I think they have a very similar goal in mind, whereas Shaggy and Scooby have similar with them, and not necessarily with Scrappy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you and Smash are playing a very dangerous game with me right now, because I actively want to retire from like podcasting and stuff the second I'm able to like move house. But just hearing you guys talking about Scrappy and stuff, I kind of really want to watch the Scrappy Doo series and podcast about it now.
Don't you dare believe you're gonna retire, JayBee, because we're not.
Because I know I want to have a podcast about that series now, where I can share my piece about it after watching it.
We have recorded evidence now that you want to do the series.
There's one series.
Millie?
I don't know.
We'd already had a public vote and you'd been outnumbered, but yeah, you've now said that you want to do it.
I do want to do it, because I would like a more rounded conversation about Scrappy, I guess. Because I'm curious now to watch that show.
Very good.
So maybe, I think maybe you guys have just convinced me. So that's good.
So, next thing
I have to say... Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, the first season of Scooby Doo and Scrappy Doo, like when he was very first introduced, that's actually, I still to this day say that is my favorite, and I only say the first season, but that's my favorite series of Scooby Doo in gen.
See, it's going to be exciting to do this series, JayBee. We need to see this stuff. So, getting back to the movie, I enjoyed the cobweb headset thing. You know how they kind of came up with the thing that the spiders were the minions, and so you could see how they like weave these like headphones onto Shaggy and stuff. I kind of liked that. It was a good plot.
My question about that though, for all I thought it was good, if Revolta and the minions can almost have that construct done remotely, right? Like I think they get Shaggy when he's sleeping, don't they? Why not do that for all of them while they're sleeping instead of luring them places?
I think because with the others, they do, like we saw in the volleyball game, they all have their own very special sets of skills and faster reflexes. So I feel like they would be able to sense that someone is in the room. And I feel like they would probably keep their windows closed. Like, I mean, we saw with Tanis, she at the beginning was in a sarcophagus, like in the basement area or whatever it is. So I feel like that's where she sleeps. And then Phantasma is all over the place because she is Phantasma and she is fantastic. see what I did there? Yeah. No. Okay. And then
Bella probably
like,
sleeps as a bat.
Oh, upside down.
yeah. And then werewolves don't sleep because they love the night. They love howling at the moon. And then Elsa Frankenstein. Because what I said to my brother is that I think why she's called Frankenstein is because like Frankenstein itself at that time was like trademarked or something, and of course they didn't own the trademark, so they had to change the name slightly. But she, you know, she's Frankenstein's monster's daughter, like, so she would have different powers as such in her own with like the strength, so she could like roll over or like swat her hand up in her sleep, like feeling or hearing the wind and just knock the spider bat away from her and it would hurt them. So I think by picking on Shaggy, because he's like not necessarily the weakest, but you know, the one who has more control, to get them all separated from each other. I think that's my theory, at least.
No, I think that's a good fit theory. It does make sense. And so Shaggy takes the ghouls on a trip to Barren Bog,
which is also where the Callaways are headed to on maneuvers, I guess, like extreme maneuvers. And I think this is where there's like a sequence where the Callaways get stuck in quicksand, and I think it's Elsa and I think maybe Winnie that saves them. It's Elsa and someone, but they save the Callaways.
It's the Frankenstein one.
Yeah.
Because in the meantime, Winnie the werewolf is running into the green blob and getting her own headphones.
Yeah, I think it's Elsa and Tanis. Also, like, a small little... Oh, wait, no, that comes up later in the movie. Ignore me. Ignore that little thing. Yeah.
So, Winnie's possessed, right, at this point?
Yeah, and ultimately the green blob, as I keep calling them, it manages to possess all the girls except Sabella, then the spider bats possess them, and they're all taken away to Revolta's like castle place. So when they get there, we see a werewolf Shaggy in the mirror. Is this alluding to Reluctant Werewolf?
Is it werewolf though, or is it just demonic? Because that used to scare me so much as a kid. Like
that
I
was
couldn't
freaky.
watch that. Like their face.
I think it's like mirrored. Like, while Shaggy is terrified usually, his mirror image is also his mirror personality. And while Shaggy is scared and, you know, he is very, not necessarily shy, but, you know, he is very good, his mirror image is brave and insane and scary and demonic.
Sorry about the dogs.
Are they still voiced by Casey Kasem?
I think so.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Because it changes a lot. But then at the end, when it's running away, I heard Shaggy Shaggy. So I guess, and that's actually quite interesting because they run away once they get scared, and that's when I noticed that they sounded like Shaggy. So maybe there is some more truth to what Rihanna was saying. But personally, though, that to me is like proof that this was made before the kind of property got a bit soft, because that to this day kind of unsettles me a bit. And their face is scary. I don't want to see it again though, for that reason. Like there's 2 times that Scooby Doo has scared me. One, when you see this demonic Shaggy, and twice in the 2002 movie when Mary Jane gets hit by that branch. Those are 2 nightmare fuel moments
yeah.
in my childhood. And I just, yeah. We'll get on to stories about me and the 2002 movie when we get to it.
Definitely
But
not
there's
going to get
such
onto those stories.
a contrast. Oh, I was so scared of that.
Okay, so ultimately, I think the werewolf, whatever you want to call it, agrees with you, JayBee, that it's scary because it decides that it needs to go back inside the mirror. The world's too scary, so it releases Shaggy. They are then kind of dropped into water with the water monster, which they climb like stairs to be able to get out of the hole.
But this water monster is literally just filler, right? But the difference that I'm getting with this is that it was a really cool design. It kind of looks a bit like, you know, a Mario boss. But unlike for me with Boo Brothers, it wasn't just like, you know, when the bear was introduced towards the end. Here's something else. Why didn't you just use this? Why didn't you just use that? This was like taking advantage of the setting, the fact that they were at Revolta's place and she's supposedly like the Lord of the Demons. And now there's this water area, and I just like how they used almost a water-based monster for that purpose. So I really like this creature, and again, I'm just a bit baffled that there's so much creativity put into like the designs of the movie, the kind of all the settings, whereas now I think they've got a bit lazy with things. So I kind of miss this era a little bit.
Yeah, I guess so. And then, so when they get up the water monster, they realize that there's a brainwashing machine.
Brainwashing.
That they have all the kind of
Yeah.
girls lined up to. So then there's like an entire scene about them escaping that. And then ultimately, everything's resolved really nicely with Scrappy singing a song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Scrappy rap.
The Scrappy rap.
Did you enjoy the Scrappy rap?
I preferred Eustace's rap in Straight Out of Nowhere to this Scrappy rap, but I didn't hate the Scrappy rap. It's better than that crap again that they've insisted on doing, where they've just put music videos on as the special features. Whereas I for all I kind of like pooed on it when we first transitioned from nice little behind the scenes bits to past episodes, I'm now at the stage again where I'm like, please, I want past episodes. Because I don't know why they keep having all these things. But yeah, the rap was fine. I hope that if Scrappy returns one day, they'll rap again.
Okay, and that concludes my notes on this movie, JayBee. Anything to add?
I think I've already discussed this, but I really dislike how this movie ends. Because, again, they run away even having spent time with iconic monsters, baby monsters. Like, they've got a bond with the with the monsters and the ghouls, and to me them running away, it's like, one, for all, like, it's not deep about it, it's not like Crystal and Amber leaving, which makes me cry. This isn't like breaking my heart, but it kind of disheartens me that like we've seen these little baby ghouls have a bond with Scooby and like Scrappy and Shaggy, and now that they're just running away from them, like, oh, all monsters are the same, we're gonna run. But also that it's like they just wanted a reason to end the movie, and they wanted a reason why they had to leave, and so I guess they're scared, so they're gonna run away. But it's like Reluctant Werewolf, the next movie, literally has nothing to do with this movie. Like, Shaggy's a race car driver, and so it's like, if they're not keeping things in continuity, I feel like this could have just ended with them staying at the school to teach the new generations, and it could have been a bit more satisfying. Like, maybe they go through a journey of being scared of monsters at the start to, you know, going on to interact with loads of monsters. But it is what it is. It didn't break the movie, it's just I don't like the ending.
Okay. So does anyone else have anything to add before we go to verdicts?
I was just gonna say, just because I wasn't in last week's episode with Boo Brothers, that during the first season when Scrappy was introduced, the last episode of season 1 was kind of a almost a standalone Scrappy episode. I mean, Shaggy and Scooby were in it, and the rest of the gang were in it at the beginning, but that was actually a backdoor pilot. They were trying to do this standalone Scrappy series, and so they were using that as kind of a ooh, how well would it do? How well would it be received? Type of thing, just kind of testing the waters. And obviously it didn't get picked up because we never got just Scrappy Doo or the Scrappy Doo show or something. But I almost feel like these 3 movies kind of were a weird off product of that. I mean, because we did get the Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy shorts afterwards, but these movies almost I felt like were them trying to, well, that didn't really get picked up, and we don't want the rest of the gang in it right now. So what if instead we have instead of these super short misadventures, we have Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy kind of go on more of these a little more elaborate adventures, kind of longer storylines and stuff. And so I don't know. I've always just felt like this is kind of that what they were originally trying to do with Scrappy at the end of the first season. It was just obviously very short-lived with just 3 movies. Just a random thought before we ended it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So I think at this point we're going to verdicts. So JayBee, as always, you're first. Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School, would you say smash or pass?
Yeah, I guess just keeping it easy. Obviously this isn't a perfect movie. I've mentioned a couple of things that irritated me about it that I would definitely wish that they would change, because ultimately it's inconsequential to future films. But I just think a lot of this is so creative, and the soundtrack alone just brings back so many memories of watching this on tape and just being scared of it, I've never really been into horror, but watching that kind of Shaggy scene as a kid, I was just so scared, and yet I would still keep watching it just because I love the story so much. All the characters are kind of so unique, and I just think it's a lot of fun. So I'm definitely gonna smash this one and hope that I can watch it again in the near future. I just wish Daphne was in it. So Millie, would you smash or pass The Ghoul School?
I think it's a really good movie. I feel like there's a lot of very interesting characters, which is something that Scooby doesn't always benefit from. So it's really good. I like the format. I like the plot. I think, as we said, potentially it could have been split more into 2 movies, or even like they did with the puppets, where there's a part 1 and 2, because there's definitely a clear break in plots and things. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's one that I'm definitely going to watch another 20 times in my life, so it's a definite smash for this movie. So Rihanna, we're going to come to you next. Would you say smash or pass for Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School?
Okay, so I love this movie. I agree, it could have been done in 2 parts or whatever, but I think they did a nice little transition between the 2 of them. And it actually just hit me. Okay, so little side note on Tanis. Tanis was the name of the ancient city that used to be the former capital of Egypt.
Oh,
That's only just hit me now. So she has been named after an ancient city in Egypt. Huh.
the more you know.
Anyway,
Interesting.
so I love the plot. I love matches. I love Tanis. Tanis is, oh gosh, I want a little Tanis. I want a Tanis in matches. I love how they built the characters up. I love, that they kept, sorry. I love that, we did. It was kind of sad that they ran off at the end, because that did upset me, because I was like, Oh, but you just like at least take matches with you. Like matches or tennis, just kidnap them. Well, can you kidnap monsters? Is it monster napping? But like I just really loved it and I've watched it so many times and I'll watch it a bajillion times more. So for me it's a smash.
Amazing. So finally, Smash, we have you. Would you say smash or pass for Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School?
All right, so this, like I said, is one that I've watched many, many times. Probably one of the oldest Scooby movies I remember watching. But so I'll quickly say too, for Boo Brothers, since I wasn't there last week, I would lightly pass that one. But with Ghoul School, see, here's how I see these three movies. I see Boo Brothers, they had too many stories that they wanted to include in one movie that it just got confusing and chaotic and out of place. With Ghoul School, they, for the most part, I won't say everything, for the most part, they knew what they were doing and where they were going. But like you guys said, there is definitely kind of a like split in storyline where kind of like, all right, we wrapped up that story, so now here's the second part of the movie type of thing. But overall, I feel like, it all really just kind of flows, and, you're not like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Why is that happening? Where are they going? Or anything. And then with Reluctant Werewolf, which we'll get into more next time, that one, I felt like they didn't have enough story and just tried to fill it in with racing, and we're just like, haha, haha, look, they're spraying each other in cars and stuff, just trying to fill that like 90-minute gap and whatever. And so I just feel like for these three movies in particular, Ghoul School is like the pinnacle of these movies. It's like the one that I feel like most people talk about, the one that most people bring up, and it's it's almost, I feel like, almost as talked about as Zombie Island in a way. It's almost as admired as much as Zombie Island. It's another one of those Scooby movies where even if someone's not that into Scooby Doo, if you bring up Ghoul School, they're bound to be like, oh yeah, I remember watching that or whatever, kind of like how Zombie Island is. So I mean, although I haven't watched this movie for a hot minute, I still like, this brings so many memories to me. It's one of those that it's like such an easy watch, you can just like put it in and feel good. And so long story short, what I'm trying to get at is I would smash this one. Yes.
That's amazing, so I think that's a unanimous smash for this movie.
Hey,
So now,
thanks so
JayBee,
much.
I guess it's your community news time.
Oh crap. I've seen nothing online, I don't think, but obviously I think I can probably be corrected at the end. I suppose personally, we have announced, I don't even know if we spoke about this last time, but we've announced Kent Bader now, which I'm really excited to get out there, because that is just going to be incredible, especially for people
That
that
one's
are
juicy.
interested in the 2002 movie and the original cut of it. Like, and I said this in like the promotional thing, and it's true. We find out exactly what was meant to happen in that initial test screening before it was like negatively received. We find out if the Gosnell cut, or the gun cut as people like to call it, is even possible, if it exists. Like, oh, come on, that was just brilliant. I can't wait for that. I want to release it now.
It's an amazing video and we're very much looking forward to get it out. So JayBee, does that wrap up your community news?
I think, yeah, I mean, does anyone else? I guess we've also announced that we're doing some type of Morgan Baden giveaway. I mean, that's not really much to tease. It's just, yeah, Morgan Baden giveaway at some point.
Okay, I definitely don't have anything to add. Smash or Rihanna, do you have any community news?
I don't think so.
Not at the moment.
Okay, and JayBee, did you say that was everything for you?
Yeah, I've got nothing and I'm happy.
Okay, so next week we are going to be reviewing Scooby Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. Not one that I ever remember watching.
Oh. Oh, I'm envious of you now though, because I've almost got to prefer the ones that I haven't seen before.
Okay, well, I'm excited to see this one. Like I said, it's not one I remember, so we'll see you all back here next week for the next episode. So yeah, SMASH's links are in the description below and subscribe.